Hello and welcome to Kärcher. My name's Brad and today I'm really excited to present this training video to you on the B150 scrubber dryer. In this short video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through how to set up the machine, how to actually use the machine for your store clean, and then how to pack it up afterwards. So a great feature of the machine is the clearly identifiable yellow touch points. So this is what the operator will need to touch to actually do the store clean. So we can have a look here and see the yellow accelerator pedal. We have here our fill for the fresh water tank. We also have here where we fill the machine with our cleaning agent. Right next to the driver is where we've got our control panel. And at the rear of the machine, we have here our drain hose. So really easy to identify what the operator needs to touch to do the store clean. The other great feature, we've got our grey, which is secondary or maintenance, or also you could refer to grey at the end of the day. Grey here when we want to do our tank rinse. Also, when I come around to the side here, we'll see grey when I want to remove the disc from the machine for our cleaning. So let's have a closer look at those. At times you may be asked, what is the actual article number and serial number of the machine? And that can easily be found on the machine data sticker. To access that, I just removed the home base from the machine. And you'll see here, grey, which is secondary or maintenance. I lift that tab forward to raise the actual seat from the machine. And you'll see there that the data plate is actually stuck on the frame of the machine above the batteries. Prior to setting up the machine for your store clean, do make sure that you're wearing the correct PPE as per your site requirements. That could be safety boots, safety gloves, or also safety goggles. So here you'll see our main control panel for the machine. You'll see we've got our yellow key for the machine. You'll also see here we've got our emergency off and on button. You'll see we've got our horn. You'll see we've got our forward and reverse switch. You'll see we've got our information button where we can make some adjustments to the machine. And then you'll also see we've got our main easy control switch where we can actually make the settings for the scrub mode that is required. Prior to each use of the machine, it's important to check to make sure that the brush is fitted, but also check to make sure that the brush is in a usable condition. To remove the brush from the machine, I just press down here on our grey paddle. I can now slide the brush out from under the machine. And what I want to do is make sure there's no debris in the brush, so that can be picked away. We want to make sure that there's no splinters or anything like that in there. If they are, pick them away. We can give it a rinse with fresh water. We also want to make sure that the bristles aren't worn too low. So when there's more than 10 millimeter of bristle left, it is okay. If there's less than that, it should be replaced. It's also a good practice to give the top here a rinse with fresh water because it's where we distribute the water for scrubbing onto the actual brush head itself. And then to reinsert, I can slide under, find the locating hub, and then I just press up sharply, and that is installed onto the machine, and I can perform the same on the opposite side. Kärcher machines can be fitted with different brush heads. If you are asked which brush head is on your machine, that can be identified by the sticker on the side of the actual brush head. Also a great feature of our machines is the ease of use for our maintenance and setup of the squeegee. If I want to remove the squeegee from the machine, all I need to do is take off the suction hose, loosen the two butterfly nuts, and the squeegee can easily be removed from the machine. So one of the first great features of the squeegee is you can see there the change lip line. So once the squeegee wears to that level, the operator can flip the squeegee, which we'll see shortly. And I also like the fact that the spare part replacement number is also printed on the squeegee itself. So the squeegee is very easy to inspect and maintain. So some of those inspections we may perform is just inspecting the suction tube there to make sure that's clear of debris. If there is some debris there, that can either be picked out or rinsed out with fresh water. I can flip it this way as well, and once again I can check the intake mouth there, making sure that's clear. I want to make sure along the whole squeegee blade itself, that's also clean along the blade, and also the rubbers themselves. We're checking to make sure there's no debris, and also we want to check to make sure that either A, the squeegee itself is not actually torn, and also too, as we saw earlier with the change lip line, if it's worn down to that level, we can actually flip the squeegee over. So we're basically getting two uses out of the one squeegee blade. So if I do want to actually flip the squeegee, to do so, I undo the end cap and I can slide off the black cover. I'll just put that aside for the moment. And then what I can do is I can actually slide the squeegee out of the actual holder itself. The squeegee with the grooves is the one that goes to the front. And then you'll see here also a closed squeegee, and that is the one that goes to the rear of the machine. All right? So I would be flipping these over if they are worn or if they are torn. So all I've basically got to do is just flip the squeegee over, and reinsert into the actual bar itself. To do that, just like so, I will start with the rear one, and I just gently guide it in, like so. I just feed it through, and I want to feed it through about 3 or 4 centimetres there, making sure it's central. And then I do the same with the front squeegee. Okay, that's in. That one will go through maybe 2 centimetres on that side. And then I get the end cap. I install the end cap like so. Put the bump wheel back on and fasten. And now the squeegee is ready to be reinstalled back onto the machine. And to reinstall the squeegee, I just lift it over the mounting plate. I tighten up the butterfly screws. I don't tighten these up too much, because the idea is if we get an impact, the squeegee will actually fall from the machine rather than break off. Install the suction hose, and that's ready for use. Once you've installed the squeegee back onto the machine, it's important to make sure it is adjusted correctly. The correct adjustment is when you are in scrub mode and driving forward, we want to see the level indicator bubble between the two lines. With a colleague, you can get your colleague to drive the machine forward in scrub mode and check to make sure the bubble is in the correct position. If adjustment is required, the easiest way is to remove the suction hose, lift over the adjustment tab lock, and then we can turn the adjustment dial here either clockwise or anti-clockwise to give it some either forward or rearward angle. Once you've made your adjustment, lock it into place, reinstall the hose and test again. And if the bubble is in the middle, we're good to clean. Otherwise, we can continue to make adjustments. Once the machine is fully charged, you can then Turn off the power to the charger at the wall. Disconnect the battery charger cable from the battery cables on the machine and connect the battery cables into the machine cables and then close the lid. If the machine is fitted with an onboard charger, you can identify the battery is full from the display on the dash. Disconnect the battery cable from the wall socket and wrap the cable around the machine like so. So when you are ready to scrub, I can now turn the machine on. If I need to transport the machine to an area that I wish to clean, I can leave the machine in transport mode and drive it there. Once I've got to the area which I wish to clean, I can select my desired scrub mode, in this case Eco, and I can start my cleaning. Once you've done your store clean, there's some really easy steps that can be performed to wash the machine down, ready for its next use. So let's have a look at those. The first step is to drain the wastewater tank. To do so, I grab our drain hose, I can twist this and lift the cap off the end, go down over my drain and empty like so. Whilst the wastewater is draining, we can lift the wastewater tank lid and we can remove the debris dump basket, and that bulk waste can be emptied out over a bin, and then we can give a rinse with fresh water and reinstall back into the machine. Then what we want to do is inspect our float and filter mechanism for cleanliness. So what we can do is remove the snap ring, just place it down like so, remove the float mechanism itself, okay? Then we want to remove the filter, so we twist and remove from the machine. I look up at light to make sure I can see through there and make sure it's nice and clean. If not, that can be rinsed with water. I reinstall onto the machine, install the float, and install our ring, and just make sure that can move freely. Whilst we've got the tank lid open, we can also now do an inspection of our seal. We want to make sure it's in place nice and snugly around the entire machine. And then with a rag, we can wipe out that seal as well, making sure there's no debris there. And we can also give a wipe over the lid like so. And then there's a secondary filter here which we can remove. We just want to have a look through that and make sure it's clear. If not, any debris can be picked out, reinstalled back into the machine, and now we can close our lid, ready to do our tank rinse. To perform our tank rinse, I lift the tank rinse lid, I install the hose, I then turn the tap on. Once I see clear water coming out of the drain hose, I can now turn the water supply off. I can now remove the hose and I close the lid down, making sure that's down tightly. If this is not tight, the machine will not pick up water well on the next clean. We can now install the drain hose back onto the machine, and it's very important to make sure this yellow cap is on tightly, and I can clip it on the rear like so. From time to time there may be the need to drain the fresh water tank. That could be maybe you need to remove the detergent from the machine, or maybe the machine's not dropping water and we need to check the water filter. To do so, I undo the grey cap here and I just loosely remove that so I can have some control over the water flow. Then what I want to do is perform an inspection on the filter here. So I want to make sure I can see through that. If I can't see through that, I can give it a rinse with fresh water. Then to reinstall, I locate the filter onto the holder, into the machine, install the grey cap, and I'll make sure this is tight. We don't want any leaks. And then once that is done, it's very important that I now fill the machine completely with fresh water. We can now install the drain hose back onto the machine, and it's very important to make sure this yellow cap is on tightly, and I can clip it on the rear like so. So now I want to remove, inspect and clean the brush itself. So I remove it, slide it out from under the machine. I want to do an inspection to make sure that it's not dirty. Any large debris can be picked out. Check to make sure there's more than 10 mil of bristle left. I can give it a rinse, like so. Reinstall back onto the machine. And then with a rag, I can just wipe out the squeegee lip, and I can perform the same on the opposite side. We can now remove and clean the squeegee itself. So we loosen off the butterfly nuts, lift the squeegee from the machine. I want to do an inspection to make sure the squeegee's got no tears and also no large debris. I can also give it a rinse with fresh water. And now I can reinstall back onto the machine. To put the machine on charge, I lift the lid of the machine. I want to make sure that the machine is turned off. I then disconnect the plug, install the actual charger plug to the machine, make sure that's nice and snug, connect the power supply into our socket and turn the power supply on. And we then leave the machine on charge until the charge complete light illuminates. If your machine is fitted with an onboard charger, with the machine turned off, I can remove the charge cable from the machine. I then insert the power plug into the wall, turn our power supply on. And then we want to make sure, once the machine is on charge, that the display is indicating that the charge is being performed. Thank you very much for watching this video. Remember, if you do have any further questions, you can always reach out to Kärcher.